What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer, getting caught up on some Yu-Gi-Oh news because there's been a lot of new card announcements. And what better place to start than the Rikka archetype? I think that's how you say it. I hope so. Two new cards for this, and then I'm going to go ahead and look at every single Rikka card that has ever existed, see how it all ties in together, and then give my final thoughts. So we'll start here with Rikka Snow Princess. During your main phase, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, you cannot special summon monsters except plant monsters. Except plant monsters while this card is face up with the monsters. Okay, I was thinking like until the end of the turn, until like after this effect. So it's kind of a weird way to say that, but so it's a free. It's literally about as free of a special summon as you can possibly get, right? When your opponent activates a monster effect, while you control a Rikka monster, you can shuffle this card from your hand or graveyard into the deck and tribute one plant monster, negate the activation. And you can only use each effect once per turn. Wow, so it doesn't have to even be this card. This is a really unique, weird card. Like, card text like this, I feel like doesn't exist. So it's a monster negate from the graveyard. So really, you can do your plant combos. When I say plant combos, I mean that means a lot of different things. But at the end of the day, like, you can shuffle from the graveyard, which is really, really good. You do have to tribute a plant monster, but I think that works with the field spell. And I don't know if any plant monsters have effects when triggered or when tributed, so that could also be, part of the equation. We'll have to see if the Rikka monsters do that. And there's also the idea of, also plant monsters, just in general as an entire archetype. But clearly pretty good. When you can literally freely special summon something, you're going in the right direction. Here is the field spell. I actually saw something on Yu-Gi-Oh! Anonymous. I don't know if you guys are on Twitter on that, but there was one that talked about how field spells are weird because they're not really like... They look more like art from continuous spells, and I guess I kind of agree with that. Like, this kind of just looks like a monster card, to be honest with you. But in any case, this is Rikka Arrival. You can only if you control a Rikka monster, you can set one Rikka spell or trap directly from your deck to your spell and trap zone. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for Restless turn except plant monsters. You can only use this effect of this card once per turn. Once per turn, if you attribute a plant monster you control to activate a Rikka effect, you can attribute one face-up monster your opponent controls instead of one of those monsters. Meaning that if this card is in your graveyard and you have this in if the card's in your graveyard, you have this in the field zone, you can negate a monster's effect, tributing your opponent's monster, meaning this card is a layer of darkness. Now it does more than a layer of darkness because it also sets Rikka spell and traps, which means you're probably going to be able to play a lot of one-ofs, which is super important when it comes to trap cards more than it does spell cards, because you can activate spell cards the turn you draw them. So clearly, these two cards are very good. Are they enough to build up the archetype to make them playable? Well, that's what I'm here to find out. This is Hellbore, the Rikka Fairy. When your opponent activates a monster effect that targets a card on the field while you control a Rikka monster, you contribute this card from your hand or face-up field, negate the activation. If this card is in your graveyard, you contribute one plant monster, special summon this card in defense position, but banish it when it leaves the field. Oh, it's only once per turn. So I'm obviously, okay, I don't know if maybe all of these have the tribute effect, so this works really well. I wasn't sure. Never really read these cards before. I'm not sure if that's good enough. I mean, I know there's a ritual monster that kind of essentially does the same thing, but that doesn't see really a lot of play. This is kind of one of those iffy things. I mean, it's cool because it's a hand trap, technically. But, yeah, I don't know. Considering this is once per turn, I don't think this card is all that great. Plus, it's a level 8. Like, that can't be good, right? Like, why does it have to be such a high level? Okay, so we'll keep going here. I'm not too big of a fan of that one. Snowdrop the Rikka Fairy. You contribute one plant monster, special summon both this card and one other plant monster from your hand. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of this turn except plant monsters. So that's super sick because once per turn, if you attribute a plant monster, if your opponent has a negate, you're special summoning this card, like, and you're getting rid of a negate and also giving yourself, so you're going like +2 in card advantage right there, which is awesome. So this card instantly becomes 10 times better. This card becomes very good, in fact. Plus it's a rank 8, which I guess could be decent, because I think that I have to look this up real quick now. I think there's a plant XZ that's like 8, that's like pretty decent. I guess I could be wrong. I just can't remember what it is. Plant. Once per turn, you can declare one card name as for the top of your deck. No, it's not that. This is Rikka. We'll talk about that in a second. Quick effect, you can attach material from this card, then activate. Oh, it's 3 monsters, 3 level 8 monsters. Maybe that's a little bit easier because this, special summons 2. That's not what I thought it was. So it's unfortunate, but I guess you do have a rank 8 engine, and hopefully that new rank 8 is good, or the Rikka rank 8 is good. I guess we'll just find out. But nonetheless, like no matter what happens, using this at least for link plays is very awesome. This instantly becomes like the best card in the deck, honestly. Maybe this is a going second deck. It may have to be. Okay. This is Erica. I almost said Rikka. Erica, the Rikka fairy. When an attack is declared involving another plant monster you control, you can tribute this card from your hand or face-up field. That monster you control gains 1,000 attack and defense until the end of the turn. Yeah, that's just, you're not going to use that. Okay, this is Mudan. I hope you say it like that. The Rikka fairy, you contribute 1 plant monster. Special summon this card from your hand. Again, very good. Both of these become instantly better. And this, I guess, is just a going second archetype. Like, you're going to be able to, you have to get advantage off these cards, right? Unless there's a great plant going first. Like, I don't know. I doubt it. But, yeah. You contribute 1 plant monster, special on this card from your hand. If this card is normal summoned or special summoned by the effect of a plant monster, you can have 1 Rikka spell and trap from your hand. Does it count itself? Does it count itself as being special summoned? Because it is a plant monster, I would guess. So that's pretty decent. I mean, this card just gets better and better with every card, obviously. You contribute this card from your hand or face-up field, then target up to 2 plant monsters you control, reduce their levels by 2 until the end of the turn. I don't know. I mean, that's just so niche. Like, you already need two other plant monsters on the field. I don't think that's going to be used. If a monster you control is tributed, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position. You can target up to 2 plant monsters you control, increase their levels by 2. Again, I just think those are very like niche. I feel like you're gonna probably play like these, and then not play the lower levels. But let's check out the last one, Rikka Petal. During your main phase, you can take 1 Rikka monster from your deck, except a copy of itself, and either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of this turn except plant monsters. During your opponent's end phase, while this card is in your graveyard, if you control no monsters, or all monsters you control are plant monsters, you can special summon this card. Level 1s are always pretty decent for like a few reasons, kind of extra deck reasons. I mean, maybe this is like a decent like normal summon for the deck. I don't really think there is even any other ones. So, I mean, that's kind of nice. Okay, so this is Rikka Glamour. When you activate this card, you can also tribute 1 plant monster, add 1 Rikka monster. You can also, add 1 Rikka monster from your deck to your hand. Then if you tributed a monster when you activated this card, add 1 plant monster with the same original level as the Rikka monster, but a different name. So, but again, with the field spell, it's crazy how important this field spell is. You're going to have to play 3 copies, terraforming, the one that sets 2 spells and traps, or 2 field spells. I don't. You may have to play like Metaverse. I don't know, but the entire archetype only works if you do that, pretty much, from what I can see. Because you're tributing a monster and adding 2, like that's insane, right? Like that's a very good card when paired with this. Okay, this is Rikka Flurries. If a Rikka monster you control is tributed, you can make your opponent tribute 1 monster they control. You can only use this effect. If you control, during your opponent's end phase, if you control a face-up non-plant monster, which is fine because it locks you. That's not really a real requirement. This one's okay. Again, like all of them become pretty good because you can always access them with this card. There was the one that searched the spells and traps, right? You contribute 1 plant monster. Yeah, so these are good. So that's pretty cool. Although, I mean, really, like you're kind of focusing more on this card. Like you want to tribute your opponent's monsters, not your own. I was going to say maybe you can go like 2 tributes that turn, but that's assuming your opponent always has board presence and they're not like setting a bunch of back row. Like I don't think this is ubiquitously good. But tributing is like such a great way to get rid of cards. I can't really think of anything. Like I really can't think of any card effect where that gets around it. Like at least cards that are used in the modern game. This is Rikka Tranquility. When you activate this card, you can also tribute 1 plant monster, special 1 Rikka monster from your graveyard in defense position. Then if you tributed a monster, when you activate this effect, you can special 1 plant monster from your graveyard in defense position. I mean, that becomes a little better, like, because this is one is either you control it, right? It's unfortunate that it's a hard once per turn and not a soft once per turn. Now, I'm not sure Konami will ever print a card that's not will ever print a card that is a soft once per turn, but this one's okay. Rikka sheet. You target one face-up monster your opponent controls. Also, you contribute one play-up monster. Players cannot activate that face-up monster's effect on the field this turn. Then if you tribute a monster when you activated this card, take control of that monster until the end phase. This is potentially you taking control. It sucks until the end phase, but this is definitely a good card to set. This is the best target for sure to set. Potentially, it's either this one or this one, right? Because if you're going first and you activate this card, that obviously becomes pretty good because you're tributing one of their monsters if you have the field spell, then taking control of the other one, potentially doing a lot of damage, which is great. So honestly, like, I'm a little more impressed than I thought I was to this point. We'll look at the extra deck monsters, but so far, like, this archetype makes a lot more sense now that they've printed this. This is Teardrop, the Rikka Queen. You can attach one material from this card and target one monster in the field, tribute it. This is a quick effect if it has a plant monster. Of course, you're going to have plant monsters. Okay. Each time a monster is tributed, this card gains 200 attack. So it goes up to 3,000, basically. I mean, it's gonna be in your extra deck. It's a quick effect tribute. Like, that's the best boss monster like this deck can obviously possibly produce. That's an 8. Oh, and I just kind of realized it's kind of hard to make this, right? I mean, you have these two, and this one's not even good. So that's kind of like really super mega ultra unfortunate. I'd have to look at the other level 8 plant pool, but I feel like we need more level 8s now because, like, this card's great, but this like becomes like I'm not playing other cards just to manipulate levels. Like, oh, that stinks, man. Yeah, that's pretty unfortunate that you have to go through loops just to get into an 8. Okay. This is Kanzashi, the Rikka Queen. If a monster is tributed, you can attach one material to this card, then target one monster in either player's graveyard, special limit but indicates effects, also becomes a plant monster. If a plant monster control would be destroyed by card effect, you contribute one plant monster from your hand or field instead. You can only use each effect of this card once per turn. I don't know. I mean, it becomes very easy to trigger this effect, but it negates its effect, so it's like a worse Monster Reborn. Now it's good. Like, if you're playing against Sky Striker, this card's really good. So maybe you do play this at 1 of. I'm not sure. This is Rikka Queen Strenna. You can attach one material to this card, then target one plant monster or Rikka card in your graveyard, add it to your hand. If this card with Exceed material is tributed, you can special summon one rank 5 or higher plant monster, Exceed monster from your extra deck. Ooh, okay. Well, this changes everything, right? Okay. Well, that makes a lot more sense. Because these become really hard. That's sick. I mean, it's very much easier to use this card now. You get to add these cards back to your hand, which is always a good thing, and then you get and then you can like tribute this, and then you can go into one of these, and you're gonna go into this one because it's a lot better. Your opponent isn't gonna have a hard time with monsters when you're playing against this archetype. Not the best spell in Trap 8, so that's something that would definitely be something you have to invest. Maybe the Plant Engine offers something in that category. I'm not sure, but like I talked about, I'm a little more impressed than I thought I was. This is much better. There's definitely an idea here, which you have to appreciate. The new cards certainly feel like they should have been there from the start. And, you know, the field spell much more than the monster. The monster is kind of a good card, but the field spell is like, yeah, this now, like, you can actually do stuff and you can actually play against your opponent, which before it didn't look like you were really doing any of that at all. So let me know what you guys think about this think about these new cards in the comment section down below. Other than that, that's going to do it for today's video, and I'll see you guys next time.